Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar, Working with the 3D Windows. So let's get started. The 3D window is actually a really useful window, in particular when it comes to visualization. So helping you, understand what your design is looking like. We've got, just a couple screens here to show how it is useful. And then of course, I'm gonna pass it over to David Mills, who's with us today, and he's gonna be doing the lion's share of the heavy lifting in this webinar. So it's great for visualization, whether that's through a plan window drape or just seeing your 3D surface in that 3D space. You can also view multiple 3D surfaces merged together. So we'll be tackling that in our agenda, as well as there's a function for what we call a drive-through modes. This allows you to see your project. In particular, if you are doing a road design, you can see the road design sort of through the context if you are actually driving it. So our proper agenda for today will be all about exploring the features and settings of the 3D windows, both in terrain and location, that include rendering multiple surfaces, how to drape images, and the associated settings for making sure that goes smoothly, setting up 3D options in the location module, the importance of report points and why you want to use them, going through that flyby/drive-through mode that I just showed a little snippet of there on the screen, how to view from a certain direction and certain point, merging trains, and more. And with that, Dave, are you with me?
I am with you. I'm not going to show you how I made this culvert with wing walls, but as you can see, it's visible in our 3D window and we can kind of see what's going on here. You can definitely see how this project looks in 3D. So that's kind of a fancy one. Let's go back to a simpler situation. Often the 3D is the best way to figure out whether you've got decent survey or you've got some issues. And sometimes there's nothing wrong with your survey data. It's all about whether or not you have enough break lines. And I think that's been the topic of a few of our examples. Let's just open a design here. And this has got a great surface in it that was created from a survey. And you can see right now that there's really nothing too wrong with this surface. If I kind of rotate and look down the road, and I'm having a bit of trouble rotating, and this is the first thing I want to show you. If you click and drag with the left mouse in the 3D window, it rotates the 3D window. And sometimes the point that it's rotating about is not really very obvious. So here's the first trick. In the 3D options, turn on track mouse. And if you save this document, it'll be like that. And if you save a screen layout with a 3D window in it, it'll save that setting. Track mouse allows you to do two things. The first one is when you click anywhere in the plan window, okay, and I click, there we go. It moves that to the center. If you click and drag, it always rotates about the last place you clicked on. So if I click on the top of the screen here and drag, there's the top of the hill. Sorry, not screen. Right. So track mouse helps you navigate because whenever you click on the surface and drag the left mouse to rotate, it rotates about the point you clicked on and it's in the center of the screen. This can be really useful for a long skinny road. I'll show you that in a sec. It doesn't know if you click outside the surface, it doesn't really know where you are and it just keeps the old rotation point. But if you click on the surface, that becomes your rotation point. If you have two windows visible, the track mouse has its namesake feature. When I move the mouse in the 3D, I can see a ghost pink one moving around in the plan, and vice versa. If I move around in the plan, I can see the cursor moving in the 3D. Okay, now visualization. The most common thing that people use the 3D window for is to deal with issues with a surface. For example, some of these are break lines. And if I turn off that feature, then rebuild my surface, you'll see that there's some glitches on the surface. Now you can also see them from the contours, and if you know how to read contours, you can say, oh yeah, there's something wrong here. But sometimes it's quickest just to take a quick look in the 3D window and say, oh, look, that doesn't look right. We've got an issue. Now let's go to the location module. I'm going to switch over to a design I've already got open. And let's open this one here. So this is a little resource road design. Oh, and there's the 3D window. Let's hide that for a second. And here's plan and section and profile. What do I care about right now? I think I just want to see the plan and the section windows. Okay. So here's my design. I'm busy designing the cross sections here and curves, and here you can see we've got some fair amount of cut, and you can see where the cut stops with the green dashed lines in here. So yeah, the software does give you a lot of feedback about what you've designed, but the 3D window can give you even more. Just like it showed up those missing brake lines in the terrain, it can do the same in location for other issues. However, this often happens when you first open the 3D window in the location module, and there's a quick solution to that. I'll just show it to you. 3D options. Now, this has got a lot of control to it. There's a lot of things you can do. For example, I've got the background and the current, which is the actual designed road, and they each have their own options down here. When the current alignment did, I can go into this option here. And these, you may have seen these before if you've exported a location design to the terrain module. It's the same set of options. And if you've tried to create a 3D from your, or pardon me, a surface from your location design, you'll know that you need to turn on this boundary checkbox. And often this helps to connect it. That puts in all the cross sections as brake line features. So that's what was missing. The default settings had boundary turned off. I just turn them on and recalculate the 3D display list, and there it is. It looks a lot better. The default settings had those boundary limits turned off, and so we got surface outside of the road. Now we've got boundaries, and it looks pretty good. What about the background here? It's just a bunch of contours. It's not actually a surface, or at least it doesn't look like a surface. 3D options. That's the background, the original ground, and you can see it's displaying features but not triangles. So I'm going to turn on the surface. That would just display a bunch of triangles, which is kind of boring. Shade triangles looks better, and there it is. Takes a little while to update the background display list. There we go. And you can see the road where it protrudes from the ground, but it's completely hidden where it's under the ground. Again, back to 3D options. The background, which is the original ground surface, you can put as many backgrounds as you like in here. You do that in the plan window options. We'll do that a little bit later. But the original ground terrain is always in there, and you can control the colors of the terrain. You can pick from a list of colors. This little plus button here gives you one very important extra feature. You can control the transparency. So I'm going to change that to 100. Computer speak, 0 is fully transparent. 255 is fully opaque. 100 is kind of halfway-ish. And I've done that, and let's see what it looks like. There we go. So now you can see here there's material over top of the road because it's kind of grayish, but here there's nothing over top of the road. And I can still move around in my 3D window and rotate and so on. And again, it will behave a little better for me if I turn on that track mouse. And now if I, for example, I want to see what it looks like at this curve, I click and rotate with the mouse, and I'm looking at that in the center of my screen. Okay, now there is a drive-through option here. We're going to come back to that. I want to now go back to the terrain module and look at this road as another surface in terrain. One thing, before I do this export, I meant to mention the fact that we're getting cross sections here calculated at all the places that you see cross sections in the road. And that is controlled here by, it's controlled in a couple of places, but this is always available. Alignment, report point properties, and here's all your report points. So this is usually where you would add extra cross sections for display purposes or for reporting purposes. Change your auto interval spacing. I'm going to change it to 5. Watch what happens when I do that. First of all, this is not bad. At 10, it's fine. But if I didn't have these cross sections every 10 meters, it wouldn't look very good. It would be kind of sparse. And when I up it to 5, it improves. So I've added these extra cross sections, and I just need to update this thing. By the way, there's an option here to update dynamically, which means that every time you change the alignment, it recalculates the 3D. Can be a bit slow, so I've got it turned off, and in that case, I need to do this manually. There, so you can see there's these extra cross sections, and this is smoothed out a little bit. It's got more points where it intersects the ground, and there's more cross sections, so everything's a little smoother. Now let's export that. Save as, terrain, and I'm gonna call it, oh, I didn't save it already, so I'm gonna call it demo, yes. I don't think I have to change anything here. Sometimes it's nice to see more line work. You can add in here all the report points. So for example, these two, surface top layer 1, left and right, will give me the edge of the running surface. You can also make those into break lines, but sometimes that leads to crossing break lines. I'm going to see how it works without setting them as break lines. We're going to open this in terrain right away, and we want to create a surface. Good. I don't have any, oh yeah, I do have a culvert. Yeah, so it's going to create a 3D culvert for that thing because I got culverts turned on. Okay. There it is in my terrain module. There's no 3D window just yet. Let's open one and maximize it. Now here's a situation where it's really nice to use the track mouse function. I can easily get to a situation here where I don't know where the road is, and when I'm rotating, it's all over in the wrong spot. So turn on track mouse, then just click and drag on the road, and it's rotating about the road itself, which makes total sense. Here we go. And there's the two lines that I exported, the edge of subgrade and the edge of running surface. The surface looks good. I don't see any issues with it. There's my 3D culvert. I'm just using the roller mouse to yeah, and that one doesn't look so good. I probably should have fixed it on the other end. There's another culvert and another culvert. Now I've got a surface, obviously, here, and if I save that, geez, I haven't really made any changes. Let's just save it anyway. It's available now for display in the background. So what I'm going to do from location, I'm just going to open up my original ground file. There it is. And whoever saved it last decided that it was a good idea to set the color of the surface to green. Totally optional. You can change that. I want to change it to a light color because I'm going to display the a background image. So let's do that. I've already got an image in the background here. You can actually see it there, and there's no point in displaying it. It's just a rectangle. And let's display it in the plan window. So you can put anything you want in the background of your plan. I've got an image file here that I pulled using our web mapping import, pulled it from Bing or Google, not sure. There it is. And then I can display that in the 3D window. Let's go in here and change the options. First of all, if I'm going to display the plan window in the 3D window, I probably don't want to see all my features. So I'm going to turn those off. And then I'm going to drape plan image. And when we first put this together, computers were a bit slower, so I pretty much always drag this to the top. You can even type in pixel size here if you want. 0.5 means 1 pixel per 0.5 meters, or each pixel is 0.5 meters wide and tall. That's about it. I don't really need to change anything. There are some options, but usually you just use the extents of the model and click OK here. And it takes a few seconds to update the 3D window. That's generally the case. It will be a bit faster in version 10. And you can see the image. You can also see all the lines, including the contours, and labels and stuff too. Like if I created a label here, let's just do that. Make it a really big font. There it is. And if I oh, there it is. Yeah, don't even have to update it. It does that dynamically. So there's the label in the 3D window. So if you just want to see the image, you change what's in the plan window to show only the image. For example, I could delete the contours. And then there, no contours. And that's, yeah, I think that pretty much describes what you can do with Drape Plan Image. It's behaving a bit slowly on my computer, and I think that's because I'm connected to you guys via the GoToWebinar. But it does seem to slow down the redraw a little bit. Let's turn it back off again. Great, okay. Also looking at the 3D, you can see that this model actually had dense points near the road and not so dense points on the outside. That was one of the, I used some fancy filtering to bring in the data at different resolutions. Anyway, that's the original ground. Let's put the road in the background. And I'm just gonna, for clarity here, I'm just gonna turn off that image again. Okay, so let's put the road in the background. We just exported this road, so now I can add it, folder, and there's the file I just saved by exporting from location design. Put it in the background, okay, and there it is. And it'll appear in here too if I update the display lists. Right, so there is a surface in the background, and it's gonna behave, well, I'm not sure why, but it's not set up to display triangles. How about a blue road or that color? There, I love that color. Okay, shade triangles. Okay. And you can see we've got exactly the same situation we had in the location module where the original ground is opaque and the road, which is in the background, is not, or it's hidden. In this case, it's also opaque. Before I do anything else, let's just take a look at what we've got here. We've got two surfaces, and in fact, with two surfaces, you can always display the a draped cross section by creating a draped feature. So I'm just going to put in a section here. It's going to be a draped section feature. So model is on, elevation's off, draw it with the mouse, and see, here's something kind of useful. Actually, I want to put it right about there. Okay, let's see what that looks like. I'm going to draw a feature from here to there. It's a draped feature, and let's see what that looks like in cross section. There it is. Oops, no, that's not it. You can either set up the profile window to always display the current feature, or you can just choose the correct feature here, or even type F5 works, but I'll just do this. Okay, there we go. And let's zoom extents, and there it is. This is a distorted profile. You can also control that in your profile options. So we've got two surfaces, displayed in the profile, and I can move this draped cross section around and see what it looks like in different places. And as we've seen in the 3D window, you can control the transparency and get a visualization of what it looks like with multiple surfaces displayed here. But now I'm going to show you another trick. I'm going to merge this into the existing terrain, except I'm not going to do a full merge. I'm just going to do, well, I'll show you. So here we go. Let's do a merge operation. So what I can do with merge is I can create a new terrain that is the combination of the merged terrain, in this case, the designed road, and the current terrain, which is in this case, the original ground, and make a new surface that is the combination of the two. But here's an option you may not have known about. Click on this checkbox, and it will just cut a hole in the existing model and leave out the one in the background. Okay, so let's do that. And it does take a little time to cut the hole. This is a pretty big model. We got a few, what have we got here? Almost 1 million points. And we're cutting a swath through it. So it has to find all the edge points and drape a feature along the edge, and then remove all the data inside, and also trim out the surface. So it does take a little while. Okay, and one more little update here, and you'll see what it has done. No, I forgot to rebuild the surface. Let's rebuild the surface. I'm going to skip the contours for now. It goes a little quicker without contours. This removing triangles process, it's actually taking all the triangles out of the hole that I made. Yeah, my drape feature falls across the model there. That's okay. And there we go. Now we've got a visualization, the simplest kind of visualization you can get. Really, we got an original ground in gray, and we got the road in purple, and you can see what that looks like from any angle. Which reminds me, you can use the mouse to move around, and I almost always do that. I don't very often do anything except fiddle around with the mouse, especially once I've got that track mouse thing turned on. But if you wanted to see a particular viewpoint, you can actually go into this tab here in the 3D options, and you can control what you can see. Now, one of the features that's really handy, let me just demonstrate. If I put my cursor in the plan window up here and snap or select a point, I've actually selected the boundary because these features are in the background. There's nothing there to click on. There's no features there. This is the boundary of the whole, and it's the current point right now. I've got it selected. That's this coordinate. If I go into 3D options, one of the handy features here is show me the current point. So if you're so lost that your track mouse isn't telling you where you are, this will always find the current point. Say OK, and it's looking at the current point right in the center, and maybe a few zoom in clicks will get you to the same spot. Aha, that point is that point. And yeah. Now, there's more. When you're in the 3D options view tab, you can control where you're looking and where you're looking from. And there's two ways to do the camera position. You can either give it an angle and a distance, or you can give it an actual coordinate. So if you had a known viewpoint with the georeference coordinate, you could just type those coordinates in here, paste them in, and that would give you the angle. So for example, if I raise this up a little bit to 5,000 feet or meters, sorry, and click OK here, I get a different viewpoint. And yeah, if you need to, that's available. Now, very similar to that is the drive-through thing, where you can create a feature and then follow along the feature. So if I were to draw a feature along here, I could, yeah, and it could be a feature up in the air too. So there is a drive-through option in terrain, but it requires a feature. And maybe if I just insert something, I can, no, let's go to location and do it. It's the same process. In terrain, you need a centerline feature. In location, you've always got a centerline feature because that's what you're designing in location. So let's go back to location and do the drive-through. Okay, we're back in here, and I could do the drive-through on this 3D view. This is the one where I've set it up to be slightly transparent, so you can see the earth covering the cut sections of the road. But let's do it the other way. Let's add the background. Oh, did I save that yet? I can't remember. I don't know if I did. So let's just go back to, oh, it doesn't matter. I got one saved on the hard drive. And it's really well named. It's called Og with Hole, so I can remember what the heck it's for. There we go. That's the original ground with a hole cut in it, and it's now in the background. Doesn't look any different to the other original ground, really. So it doesn't make much difference in terrain, but in the, or pardon me, in the plan window. But here, I'm going to get rid of the original ground, just do not display it, and only display this one. But now I don't have to worry about transparency, so it's fully opaque because it's got a hole in it, the same shape as the road. Oh, this is a different road. That should work. Let's see what it looks like. Actually, it's a different road. I modified the road, but it works right here. It's looking great. Yeah. Now let's look at the drive-through option. So in terrain, you have to have the right features selected. In location, you just click on drive-through flyby to make this a little bigger, and then do it again. Okay. So you can move this out of the way, and then you can see what's going on. And again, you can change the playback rate. You can reverse and pause. So I'm going ahead right now, and if I pause it and click on reverse, I'm going the other way. There's the beginning of the road. We're almost there. It's going to stop when it gets there. The other thing you can do is put up a barrier. Oh, This is behind me. There we go. Okay, so we're paused, and there's an option to include a target object. Pretty obvious what these mean after you see it. It is a rectangle that appears. I can't see it. I can't see it. There it is. So that tells me that coming around that corner, I actually can't see, what did I set? 100 meters ahead of me. So that's it proves that the sight distance is less than 100 meters. And you can set that to whatever you want. You can change the height of the object, the width of the object, etc. It's not pretty, but it gets the job done. Well, that's the drive-through. I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover. Let's go to questions.
So we do have a couple questions in here from the audience. The first one is, what is a standard editable report point?
Oh, okay. Well, let's go back to, now why am I looking at this thing? Go back to the location module. Okay. Oh, that's just my 3D. I was in the location module. When you are editing, and I mentioned earlier that you could change the reporting points that are displayed in the setup options. You can also do it in the plan options. This dialog box allows you to, for example, add points every 5 meters. That's also where you can turn on the display or not display of standard editable report points. And they are simply points that were created by you to show a particular cross section. So when you've got the selection tool on, you can select points. When you've got add edit IP turned on, you can edit the alignment. Add edit reporting points with a little question mark on the cursor allows you to click and create a point that lies on the alignment, but it doesn't modify the alignment. So when I click there, I see the cross section at that point when it's finished updating. So yeah, so that cross section is the current point, and there's a standard editable report point there. Just means I can probe around the design and see what it looks like by moving that point around or by adding a new one. You can see what the cross section looks like at any point. And the other purpose for that, I think, is the operations auto generate. So let's say I wanted to calculate a lot of cross sections in this zone here around station 100. I could do that by generating at fixed intervals, let's say 2 meters, report points. And these are user editable report points. And then I just give a station range. Now that will create 10 points in that zone, and then I could go and edit them later, but they will update the cross sections and they will generate cross sections in my 3D and in my export. So I've got basically 5 meter spacing everywhere, except in this zone, I've got 2 meter spacing. Next question.
Okay, our next question is, can you merge terrains for multiple roads in the same project?
Yes, you can. However, that comes with a bit of a warning. You can have intersection issues, and they're really no different from the intersection issues you're dealing with when you're in design mode. But after you do a merge, this is not really a merge, there's a hole in the background here. But every time you do a merge, you're cutting out the existing and replacing with the new road. So if you cross an existing road, you'll just cut a little hole through it. No problem with doing that. That's perfectly okay. So multiple alignments or other things, like for example, in terrain you can do grading to make a pad or a quarry or something. you can merge multiple. You do have to the time. So first of all, you update your surface, then you do a merge, then you update your surface again, and then you do another merge. And that's how you build your composite surface.
Excellent. Let's tackle, we got a couple more here. Thank you everyone for staying late, by the way. The next two questions, and I think we'll call it, can you export the drive-through as a video?
No, sorry, we do not have that option. The closest we can get is to use a screen capturing video tool, for example, Camtasia. Run it, capture your screen. Now you've got a video, but it's not built into the software.
Excellent. Okay, and the last one here, your culvert window had many different colors for the objects. Was that separate terrains? How did you do it?
Yes, they were separate terrains. Yeah, let's open that file. I think it may still be open. No, I don't think so. Let's just open it. It was it this one? I hope so. No, darn. It was probably this one. So what we've got here is the foreground terrain, and that's a good point. There's only one surface in a terrain file. So this terrain called OG-Terex has exactly one surface in it, and it's the original ground surface. All these other things are in the background. So if I look at my plan options background, you can see that there is a culvert, there's a culvert excavation, and then there's two wing walls, northeast and southwest. Those are all separate surfaces that were designed and created independent of this one, and then they were displayed in the background. I didn't have to merge them. They're just simply in the background. Once they're in the background, they can be displayed in the 3D window, and here they all are, and each one can have a different color. Great, thanks very much, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, again for joining us today. Awesome rest of your day, and look forward to seeing you here again soon.